Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's comes at us from Mark, Skunk Anansie, Secretly. This was a late 90s hit, but for me, it far transcends their other good songs. I'm fairly confident it will resonate well with you. Looking forward to your thoughts. All right, we have a music video for this one. I am only vaguely aware of Skunk Anansie. I only learned about this band a couple of years ago when someone shared a collab between them and Bjork. I think that was the first time I ever heard the band. I don't think we've done any reactions. I don't think they've been on the channel at all. And that's really the only thing I've heard from them. So let's get into this, see what they're bringing to the table with the track Secretly. This is not what I expected. I wonder, is this little country jingle just for the music video? Yeah, there's no music here, so this is all set up for the video then. Definitely, this sound places it in the 90s, 100%. Classic string synth. Maybe that wasn't even part of the song.
I've been biding my time. Been so subtly kind.
That bass is huge.
'Cause you're the face inside of me.
There's something slightly unsettling about all of this.
You see,
The reverb and volume fluctuation on the guitar help add to this already unsettling chord progression.
secretly lust after you, so now you feel rusty, you're bored and bemused. You wanna do so. So you should be
I think I've heard this chorus. It's short though, and I've never heard this verse though.
Trying hard to think pure. Bloody hard when I'm raw.
It's interesting because this is a very grungy alternative rock chorus or verse. So much grit and power. But this being light, uplifting, the strings elevate all of this. The vocals, dude, incredibly impressive. I know there's a slide up into the beginning of the word secretly, but that's still a really high pitch to just cold hit. Not having any pitches before or words before to get into that. really interesting in this bridge.
I had to do so.
Like, a lot of these vocal pitches are spot on, but in the bridge they were slightly sharp. Very interesting. The descending guitar line. All right. Yeah, very interesting dichotomy here. The verse and the chorus are wildly different in vibe, in timbre, in emotion, vocal delivery. The bridge leans a little closer to the verse, but even it has some interesting elements to it. It isn't just a retread of what if we did the verse flavor with a different riff, capturing the same vibes, but through a different method. It kind of does its own thing too. It is a unique part of the track. Let me start with the verse. This is very grungy. Very alt-rock, it's angsty. You can hear in the vocals, typically towards the back half of the verse, it's usually around the third set of sentences, maybe. It's between like the 50 to 75% range. And the vocalist typically puts a lot of bite, a little bit of extra grit in there. It really gets that animosity coming through, a little bit of compression in there. And it has bite, it has attitude that the rest doesn't. This lines up very well with the sort of angsty, grungy sound that the music is going for. The bass is massive. This is a huge tone, but they don't really allow it to resonate. It is a short staccato note, boom, boom. It's very precise, very indicated, but it's massive. The volume is so big. It still fills up the low end, even though it isn't playing the note throughout, just bomb, bomb, bop, bop. And despite that, the production on it still allows it to fill out the space. It is ridiculous. It is incredibly punchy, which gives it that attitude that lines up well with what the vocals are doing in their part. But we also have the guitars, which are filthy in texture. Not really a lot what I would describe here as melodic riffage, but it's certainly building atmosphere through texture. The tone of the guitar, the reverb going on, the delay that happens, the grittiness of it all. Harmonically, we're looking at something unsettling, eerie, dark. And this is an uncomfortable feeling. It induces anxiety and cringe. It just makes you, compress in. And of course, having the vocalist push further and further into grit, having more of this feeling of compression on the vocals adds to all of this. And I think it's what makes the chorus work so well, because if you're going to put all this tension in, eventually you're going to reach a breaking point, and it's like, pressing springs down. They're going to want to bounce back. And that's exactly what happens here after all this compression of the world closing in more and more. the chorus hits and it just explodes, and we get the exact opposite. The vocals are belted, full vibrato, just incredibly powerful and projected, massive sound. The guitar goes from these delayed reverbed sounds to just these really big chords strummed out, full of sound. The bass as well, holding out notes rather than those shorter staccato ideas. And it's just this explosion of sound. What once originally felt tiny within an empty sound sphere, we are now filling that entire space with music. We also have the additional instrumentation here of the violin, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it's just this huge moment, and I think it really is driven by the vocals. They're the part that feels like it's cutting through, just piercing through everything to make sure that they're heard. Everything else, much like the verse, is there for atmosphere. And there is a positivity to this atmosphere. I'm not going to say it's joyful, but it doesn't feel as cringy or angsty or unsettling as the verse did. Maybe a sort of semi-positive neutrality, something along the lines of acceptance, or maybe even rebirth, second chance, possibly. Just a feeling of possibility, I think, is really what I get out of it. And that's where that neutrality comes from. It can go in any direction, but it's not compressed in anymore. There's an explosion and a freedom that comes with it. And that's what I really get through a lot of that contrast from the verse to the chorus. And through this, I think the violin does a great job at selling all of this. The violin feels big, but when you listen to the melody of it, it also feels uplifting, soaring, possibly. It's the one part of this section that feels expansive. It has some large leaps in it too, but this is all short-lived. We get 4 bars of this tops, and then it comes back down into somewhere in the middle, a sort of foreshadowing or pre-verse where we kind of enter into something quieter, lonelier, less layered, less dense for a moment. A little bit of that eeriness from the verse, but not full on yet. And the vocalist hits this ridiculously high note. I think the word there is secret or secret. The song's called Secretly, so it's probably that. And just, granted, as I was mentioning during the reaction, kind of slides into that. I feel like there is some head voice into maybe a whistle tone. It's a little bit of a slide, probably about 2 or 3 whole notes worth. It's not a very large slide, but it is one that's there. But still, we're starting from a high note already and getting into that in the span of a beat. It would be, I mean, it already is incredibly impressive. I think the only way it would be more impressive is if she just landed, stuck that really high note from nothing, from no singing at all. But the fact that, I mean, she still gets there with immense clarity every time is just incredibly impressive. That's something that you would kind of want to lead into, to start from a lower note and start rising into the higher note, so you can kind of see where you've been and aim for that, feel the distance between notes. But nope, she just goes for it right off the bat, from silence, from nothing. And it works really well because it pierces all of this darkness with almost a last bit of this potential that we had from the chorus. The vocal melody still matches the old chorus, even though musically we are gearing down and winding down into the verse sound again. And it's almost like this last-ditch attempt to hold on to what we had before slipping into this darkness. It is thematically wild, but the delivery of it is just, it's amazing, dude. Absolutely crazy moment of the song, and it caught me off guard. That is just, to me, that's a highlight. I don't think I'll forget that moment. And this kind of This kind of lines up to where I want to talk about the bridge, because we kind of enter into a midpoint here. It still retains some of that darkness from the verse, but it's like it wants to move into the expansiveness of the chorus. And at times it almost feels like a rubber band where we're kind of pulling in both directions simultaneously. We can feel that it's getting ready to amp back up into a chorus. It is working towards that side harmonically, but there's also an instrument somewhere in here, I think it's the guitar, that is getting eerier and tenser as well. It's pushing back to the other side of the equation. And all throughout this, we have the vocals, who have been incredibly consistent with pitch so far, erring on the side of sharpness, just being a little higher in pitch than they should be and creating dissonance with the rest of the notes, as technically the vocalist isn't in tune here. Now, the vocalist is purposefully singing out of tune, I'm going to assume, since they have shown that they can hit some crazy pitches and all the room in between their highest and lowest notes with ease. They haven't been out of tune this entire track, and it adds to the tension that the guitar is presenting, pulling back into this darkness. It's interesting to see both sides trying to vie for dominance at this moment before we get smacked, slapped, or the rubber band contracts. I don't know, dude, the metaphor's slipping from me, but we slide back into the chorus there, and the big expansiveness is where we end the track. Well, we kind of bring the energy down to wrap it up on the low point again. But that might be just more for the musical side of things. It's a functional ending to wrap it up where we've been. Ending on a massive high note might not have been what they wanted, so you kind of bring the energy down. And honestly, that's more of the sound of the 90s anyways, to end on lower energy rather than higher ones, especially for something like this that feels like it borrows from a little bit of trip hop and alternative rock and grunge all at once. All three of those genres really, well, alternative rock a little less so, but grunge and trip hop really like to bring that energy down. In fact, this song does remind me of a lot of stuff. The violins in particular really carry that 90s sound. It's a little bit of Bittersweet Symphony. It's a little bit of Massive Attack. I can feel all those influences in here. And it's distinctly 90s. It's dated itself, I think, with a little bit of its atmosphere, but also the use of that specific string synth that is very iconic for the era. So yeah, this was a cool little track here. And I don't know if I enjoy it. Maybe the lyrics will change my mind on this. We'll see how that works. But I do find that the verse and the chorus are just incredibly different from each other in a way that I don't know when I would want to listen to this, being that both of these sounds are not usually stuff I would want to listen to simultaneously. I'm either in the mood for something dark and gritty or in the mood for something gorgeous and uplifting. And it's interesting to smash those together. I think artistically it's gorgeous, but when would I want both of these simultaneous? I'm very much a mood kind of person. I want a specific sound, and that's the album I'll throw in. So that's definitely a me thing, though. Let's hit some lyrics on this, see what's going on with Secretly. Okay. This kind of works. We have the chorus, which I think is the linchpin that holds all of this together. It says, you want to do someone else, so you should be by yourself instead of here with me secretly. And that, I think, is the key to this entire track. That there is this other person that is with our narrator. You'll see, we'll hit the verses in a while. This is incredibly sexually charged. I'm going to assume that this is a sexual relationship they're in. But the other person is with our narrator secretly. No one else knows about this relationship. We have an affair here, presumably. Because the first line of the chorus does say that you want to do someone else. You want to have sex with other people. And instead of being here with me secretly and then going out and being with someone else, maybe they have another partner. Maybe this is an affair here. Maybe the other person just wants to keep the relationship open. but wants to keep this specific relationship also secret. No one else knows that the other person's with the narrator. Regardless, our narrator is feeling lonely in all of this. They want something more open. They want to be able to talk about being with this other person. They want it to be more public. And they say, so you should be by yourself. Like, we need to end this. This feeling of being kept a secret and kind of being this dirty part of someone else's life, I think is what fuels the verses, because the verses are about keeping this a secret in the company of others. The first stanza says, I've been biting my tongue. I have to think selfishly because you're the face inside of me. I've been biding my time. You see it evidently that it pays. I've been a friend with unbiased views and then secretly lust after you. I put on the face, the persona to other people that we are not an item. When we're alone, though, very different story. I'm lusting after you. But in the presence of anyone else, we're just friends. This is that secret, and they feel it chewing away at them. That's the music. It's dirty, it's grimy, it's filthy, it's uncomfortable. This person doesn't like being here. It's a sacrifice they make to have this physical relationship with the other person, but it's not something they enjoy. And this feeling of saying, well, it's not worth it anymore if we can't be publicly with each other. If you can't admit to everyone that you want to be with me, if you'd rather be with everyone else, then fine. We're done. You should be by yourself. And this freedom of escaping this lie, of not having to deal with it anymore, of not having to put yourself in these positions, of lying to people and of keeping this all a secret, it feels freeing. And the vocal is just pure projection here, belting out these lyrics with, I don't know if I'd call it pride, but there's definitely power behind it that we don't hear in the verse at all. And it is, one, I think, a great display of chops, but it's also thematically relevant, embellishing this song and its emotional projection through this phenomenal vocal technique. Absolutely wonderful. The second verse pretty much touches on much of the same ideas. And then the bridge says, so now you've been busted and you're caught feeling used. And then we return back to the chorus of maybe you should be by yourself instead of here with me secretly. So I guess by the end of this, the other person gets caught and is in a precarious position. And this is also a part of the freedom, as they've already kind of separated themselves from this other person's life. It's quite possible that in the bridge, it's not that our narrator and this person were caught, but this other person and maybe another person, another affair going on. As was stated somewhere in here. Oh yeah, second verse says you're talking about so sexually about other boys and girls in your freaking dreams. So it's possible that this isn't a one-off situation in this other person's life, and they have a lot of side relationships going on. So that's the track, and that explains the huge difference here. You know, it's about the discomfort of being in a place emotionally and mentally that you don't want to be in, but kind of force yourself to because of the benefits you get physically. Talking at the beginning, you remember, I got to think selfishly here. This is the only way to have you to myself in these moments. So, yeah, very strong track thematically. And I love how it all comes together. These are my thoughts on Skunk Anansie's Secretly. What did you think of this track, though? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you would like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Do you have your own take, perspective, or opinion on this track? Let me know. Drop all that stuff in the comment section below, along with anything else you'd like to add. Above that, in the comment section, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, with the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.